Hi, I'm Gregg Bissonette. Welcome to V-Drums Lessons. That was my version of a Motown beat, and the only reason I felt okay playing it is because I was born and raised in Detroit. Motown, for those of you listening from China, Japan, Australia, Russia, you might not know the hip slang of Motown. Comes from motor, the old car capital of the world, the auto industry, Motor City, Motown. Well, there was a label called Motown Records, and Gladys Knight and the Pips, the Temptations, Smokey Robinson and the Miracles, the Jackson 5, lots and lots of great bands, Diana Ross and the Supremes. Anyway, that 4 on the snare drum beat became very, very popular at a little house on Woodward Avenue in Detroit called Hitsville, USA. And you can drive by there, and there's a museum there now. It's amazing. They've got, in this basement of this house, back where I lived, unlike California, they had basements. You'd walk down in the basements to play your drums, because it was surrounded by brick underground. Out here in California, there are garage bands, because you don't have basements. So you play in the garage, and all your neighbors complain, and the police come, and nothing past 10 o'clock. Anyway, Motown, in this basement of Hitsville, USA, 2 drummers, 1 bass player, a whole section of great piano players and revolving horn players and different people after a jazz gig would come in at 2 in the morning, and they'd cut these songs from 2 in the morning till 6 in the morning, okay? So it was a revolving cast of characters depending on who got out in time. $10 an hour for playing big hit songs that I can't sing right now because copyright infringement. Anyway, that 4 on the snare drum thing, ga, 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 that became a very, very classic, identifiable part of the Motown groove. Now I'm shoulder and tipping the hi-hat. Shoulder tip, shoulder tip. And I'm playing the bass drum on the offbeats. Now my understanding is that there were 2 drummers, and each drummer had their own little specific fill. I know there was Benny Benjamin, there was Pistol Allen, Uriel Jones, and these drum set players that was 3. They didn't play with 3 at a time, they played at 2 at a time, but again, they were revolving. So one guy's whole gig would be this. That was his shtick. The other guy, I would say whose it was, but I'm not positive and I don't want to be wrong, but one other guy, they'd wink and they'd go, "You got it," and his shtick would be, so it'd be, and they would make up songs on the spot. The artists there, the producers there, the writers there, the charts, and this is part of the magic of the Motown groove. So that one groove in particular, 4 on the snare, is probably, if somebody says to you, "Hey, play a Motown groove." I had a student last week, he wouldn't know what a Motown groove is if it bit him in a dark alley. But I'm telling you, if you play that groove, you're gonna be okay. "Hey, Jimmy, Johnny Bag of Donuts, play a Motown groove." If you throw in the fills, extra credit. I think one of the best qualities you can have as a drummer is realizing that you're never gonna have perfect time, and it's always gonna be one of those things that you wanna practice. Well, on my TD20 here, I'm gonna push the F5 button, and there's a click track. I'm gonna get my left hand on this 4 on the snare drum Motown groove to try to lock in with that click. Now, besides the last one that was way off, if you saw that on a grid or listened to it over some nice speakers in the studio, you'd say, pretty much that was okay, but 1 in the fourth bar was kind of off, one in the seventh bar was kind of off. You want to get that groove right on. So now I'm going to try to play the whole groove with the click. Oh, 1, 2. Now my goal there was to try to make the click track disappear. And some of the time I couldn't hear the click, which is a good thing. If you don't hear the click, that means you must be playing right on the click. Now, I also want to say how amazing it is to me that with the V drums here, we can just call up any sound that just seems appropriate for the style. And that snare drum sound, that tom-tom sound, kind of like an old jazz kit from the 60s. Kind of high, and that bass drum sound really seems to work for me for this Motown style. So practice with your click track, try some of the different sounds, and have fun with this Motown groove. I want to talk for just a second about the rhythm coach. If you're serious about wanting to get your groove dead on with the click and really practicing with a click track, this rhythm coach is the best tool out there. I use this, I have one of these at home, and I use it and I take it with me to clinics. I've used it with students. It is gonna tell it to you straight ahead just like it is. You're off by this much, you're not doing this. You've got to play with the click. It's 2010, and if you don't have it down playing with a click track, in 2010, so many, 99.9% of the recording sessions I do are with a click track. You could be the greatest drummer in the world and the greatest stylistic drummer in the world, but unless you can play all those styles dead on with a click track, in other words, make the click track disappear, you're not gonna be called to play on recording sessions. So, in many tours, you're using a click track too, in musicals and theaters and all kinds of different situations. So the rhythm coach is your best bet. Get one and start practicing with it pronto.